Hi, everyone. It's Angela here again. I'm really excited to bring this conversation to you all. I've been meaning to do this for years. Mark and you and I met several years ago. We had a great
Yes.
conversation, and I was like, let's do a recording for my channel. And life happened, and here we are, probably 2 or 3 years later. We're finally doing it. But I'm so excited to share with my audience about your internship program.
Yes,
But to get started, can you just tell people a little bit about your background, what you do, what you're doing, what you do in current time, what you've done in the past, anything you want to share?
absolutely. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on the show. So my name is Marc. I'm from Singapore. In my previous life, I was a military signal officer. And in 2005, I transited to digital marketing. And then in 2016, I undergo a very deep transformation of my company. And we chose a polymath profile talent as the HR thread that we look for. And we start going after the toughest problem out there in the B2B marketing. And that sort of shoot us to the next level. So and that sort of explain the reason why, because of why we started the internship program around polymathy. It is because there's no reference for me back in 2016 on how to run an organization based on polymath profile. And such, it's not a huge organization, so we have to run experiments. And the interns were like my lab rats. So from there, I do lots of internship with many people going through, and that sort of sharpened to know how to identify, how to nurture, and sort of how to launch their career. And so that's the background and how the internship program became a very important part of our experiment to find out the best way to find an environment that the polymath talents could thrive in. Yep.
Yeah, that's so cool. Um, so what was the inspiration behind wanting to start this internship program for polymathic people? Like what are the main intentions you have behind it? What are you trying to
Yeah.
accomplish?
So it has to go back to a little bit earlier. Like, why did I even choose to transform the company based on polymath profile when at the time I couldn't find any references. So it's the usual suspect that we are going through exponential increase speed of change. There's lots more what I call the intersections of discipline. There are more emerging fields and emerging technology where in the past, what I call the mainstream talent, you have to send them for training before they could operate it, right? And it's just too slow. I cannot see any hope for my company, especially in the space of marketing. There's lots of technology and data and evolving of models and things like this. It was honestly for me hopeless. There's no way for me to take on really huge, meaningful project. I came across Leonardo da Vinci and gave us the inspiration. Say, hey, this guy could do it. However, it is nearly impossible to literally hire polymath talent because how do I identify? Do they even exist? In fact, in 2016, there's no way for me to know. It's just a theory, right?
Mhm.
So back then, of course, there's some heuristics. I say, okay, most likely it's a scale. If Leonardo is on a 10 out of 10, maybe we could look for 6.5 and 7. And then we sort of hack it along the way. And that was the context, all right? And so with the internship program, it allowed me to hypothesize the traits to bring them in a very short, like let's say between 5 to 12 weeks of internship. And I could see whether could they perform. All right. And in the beginning was actually extremely cruel. I'm like a mad scientist, right? So I get them in and let's show them some ridiculous problem that I don't know how to solve. I couldn't Google it. And let's observe what do they do with it. So most
You
will give
even
up.
you even
Sorry?
called it like the ungoogleable challenge,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Like
yes.
and
Yeah,
now it's
that
the
sounds ungoogleable
un-GPTable.
because I couldn't find the answer. I don't know how to do it. So I just throw it to them, and And but in the initial stage was very brutal because literally I don't know what to do. I just observe how would a human respond in such unreasonable demand in the box environment, right? Because you have a time limit. It's either 5 weeks or 12 weeks. It's clearly unreasonable, right? And so I observed. So there's some interesting observation. So the first is majority will give up. They will complain. They say, "Oh man, this is ridiculous. I'm wasting my time here. Oh, I wasted. Why should I choose to come to this place and do this ridiculous stuff, you know?" But as over time, and I'm okay, we're just running experiment. And I'm just so lucky that there's this one girl who persisted through the pain and misery, and she cracked it like, and that gave me hope, you know. So I look at her, look at her profile, and oh, what's I lost focus. Okay, or I don't know. Okay, so maybe I'll just continue. So I start to look at her traits. And then after that, the next round, we start to filter and during the interview, look for candidates that's closer to her traits. And then we run again, right? And it is also around that time, 2021-7, I met Dr. Makaraki. And he's like, "Whoa, you're doing this. You're like doing a laboratory to run polymath experiments." And he gave me some references of his paper, and like, oh, that helps a lot. And so we become to be a bit more scientific in our approach to recruit, and we try to find shortcut to predict whether this is suitable or not. So that's sort of giving us some, whereas as over the years, it's become more and more, even what you shared on your show, those becomes very obvious now on hindsight. But back in 21-6 and 1-7, we don't assume anything. We just follow the evidence and follow along depending on who could in such a short time to solve unreasonable challenges, and we just iterate. And slowly we started to able to raise the success rate, that means ability to solve a challenge, about 66%.
So smart, by the way, this problem-based.
Yes,
Like,
real
is it
problem.
real problems that, so you're not telling someone what to do. You're saying, hey, here's this problem,
Yeah,
go figure it
go
out.
figure out.
Figure it
Yes,
out.
yes,
You're
go
paying them
figure
to
out.
think, or not,
Yeah, go think. You can do whatever you want, you know?
yeah.
I don't care. I don't care.
Can I ask also, you said that you were sort of iterating, like you found that one girl
Yeah.
who persisted and came up with something brilliant. And then you started hiring for people who had a sort of traits like she did. What were the traits that you were searching
Yeah.
for?
So now if I say it, you will recognize it immediately. Mental endurance.
Mental endurance.
Yes, yeah, because the rest, then they will. So what happens is because I'm so skilled now, I know exactly what they go through, that I'll tell them in advance, you know, like tell them, you know, first, I know how to attract them, right? You must be ridiculous. You're like, what the hell is this? Like ungoogleable challenge or ungpt-able challenge? Like, what the hell is it? There's some, we knew how to write in the way like a dog whistle. They will come. And the mainstream talent will not attend. Those adventurous one, they turn up without knowing exactly what is the challenge.
They just like the challenge. Yeah,
Yeah, like
exactly.
what's
They
up,
love
man?
to
Let's go.
yeah. One of the people I interviewed for my doctoral research said that she loved to untangle knots.
Yes.
Like she
Like,
loved a
how difficult
problem.
could it
That
be? Yes, it's innate in them. So you attract the people who opted in.
and they're
This is
kind
number
of,
one.
yeah, and they're kind of non-traditional, non-conforming. They're
Yes,
willing to
non-conforming.
do
They're
things
bored.
differently.
They are curious. They like, it's interesting because they don't want to find out more, right? They have no idea how serious, how legit. So the interview will attract all this interesting profile of people. Okay, so
Yeah.
that was like now, you know, like sensation seeking, the novelty. They like those things, and they like, is it that difficult? And how difficult can it be? You know, and these people turn up. All right.
Yeah, you're
Second,
targeting curious people who like to learn and figure things out.
yes. So once we know that, and the second is of course we know it's very clear. We run a lot of experiment. We have like one man on one problem, 2 person on a problem, 3 person on a problem, 4 person on a problem, and we realized the 3 person is the best. Right? So we know 3. So that was good. That means it's unreasonable load divided by 3%. And it's sort of it's more sort of more humane and more high likelihood of solving it without drama. So that was good. The 3 was, we found that as well. And then so now we also tell them that there is a journey. Yeah, where you'll be very excited for the first 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, and you're like go downhill. And you well, yeah, it's and I'll tell them you won't believe me, but you will go through it. And just remember, I told you, and this very famous what called the Valley of Death. There's no hope. Valley of Despair, Swamp of Despair. No, there's a few terms. You will go through it, and when you're in that zone, there's nothing I can help you because I can't push you out. I can't pull you out. I can only ensure you safety. I'll be encouraging you, believe in yourself, look at the stars or whatever. Only you can walk out of it. All right. And something happens. There's a magical part that happens, and we call it the jump. Suddenly there's a jump. And suddenly things become easy. And they look back, why were we struggling back then? It's so simple, And it's interesting. So this development. We told them exactly this is what you're going to go through. Nobody believed it. Now, how can it be that tough? Everybody went through it. But not all jump. All right, not all jump. The average is about 5 weeks. There will be some jump. Some people, really good ones, can jump at 1.5 weeks. They're brilliant. Some could jump at the 11th or 12th week, and some jump after the internship. They went back to school, suddenly just connected, and then they wrote to me, like whoa, and they understand now, So we noticed it's really about the neural work. It's something about the brain. We don't know, but we know we can only control the condition, and we observe with likelihood about 5 to 12 weeks, majority will jump.
So how do you design the challenges? Like what sort of challenges have you given the interns?
Yeah, so what I do, okay, so first, a little bit of what I described. So first of all, we have to attract the right profile first. If I force people to go through, I don't think it will work. Second is that we make sure the challenge is real. That means it must be meaningful and real. So usually it's A, X, B. A, X, B, so there's two, and you got to go deep and integrate, right? And the thing is, the B usually is a function in the company. So for example, B2B marketing, or which is sort of emerging domain. The other one will be like ESG, which is emerging as well. So it is functional, it is relevant, and there's not much expertise, it's still developing. And the other A is very much inspirational, which depends on which angle I think would be fertile for some magic to happen. I'll choose A, X, a function, and then go. Right, so this is the first thing I do. The second is still not enough. So you must have a time box, and you have a clock. The clock must start, and then you have this pressure. And at the end, there must be some kind of high-stake presentation. So that if you opt out, anybody could opt out and drop out with no shame. No problem, we follow the ranger system. No problem, it's okay, you can come back again in the future, right? But because it's high stake and it's delicious, people tend to motivate to want to complete and endure through the valley of death. So that's what we do. And one more thing that's very important, two things that are important. We socialize them with the leaders of ESG or B2B marketing, the people at the top of their game, so that they appear human to them. That's like an older brother, there's like an older sister. There's no sense of hierarchy. They're like me, they're like, oh, you're like me, So they feel encouraged and feel safe. All right, that's important. And then the final part, which is what I call the intervention of a facilitator, is very important. You got a regular check-in and to know where they are and give tips on how to push forward. Help, because they have no feedback whether they are on the right track or not right track, and they need to feedback to say you're on the rabbit hole. You have to, many ways to introduce new tools to help them navigate the process. And every team is different, every human is different, every team is different. The intervention has been curated, and then we watch them fight through. And usually it will jump towards the end. Yeah. So this is a very key design. We control the environment so that the brain would, on their own, try to adjust towards an outcome. Okay. And like how do we know the outcome is, for example, ungoogleable? How do we know it's innovative and impactful, right? So what we do is, this is a requirement as a high-stake presentation. We give you scoring, right? We give you scoring. And one of them, if it's Googleable, if your problem is solved before, you will not go to the finals, right? So you got to have something that, and you Google it, like, yeah, nobody knows how to do it. And you know it's a valid problem because you validated with the marketing leaders or ESG leaders. So it's valid. They don't know how to solve it as well. All right. Then you got a starting point, right? And then second is your solution. There's this very very popular saying, you know, we thrive in complexity. We thrive in it because if it's not it's just complicated and simple, we don't shine, right? It's complex, it's multivariable. Oh my goodness, right? And we cannot solve complexity with complexity. It's impossible. The gold standard is use simplicity to intervene towards a complex problem, and that's like elegance in the solution. And that is easy to test and gain confidence and further buy-in, right? So this is a very tall order. You have to diverge out, you can select, and then try to test hypotheses and then test it. So if all this sort of is feasible, you got results, and I never thought of that before, I think they have a high chance. They'll surely go to the finals and they have a chance to win, especially if they critique. There's a Q&A, right? And it makes sense. Because they are literally, it's their own, the brain is quite good by then and engage the leaders at the correct level of critique and exchange. Then usually they will be the champion.
This jump that you describe, like the jump when they sort of have this new insight, they reach a new state of creativity and innovation. Like, what do you think leads to that jumping period?
Yeah, okay. So this is what I think. And so the first thing is the precondition of a jump is like suffering, or it's like there's a difficulty. It's almost like a necessary condition.
Suffering.
Yes, a pain. I know there's this negative, that's not so nice feeling. Then the brain hates that space. And when the brain becomes too uncomfortable, they'll push back, you know. They'll push back. So we told them you will find excuses, you'll blame Mark, you blame this, you blame that. Usually that is the first sign that I have to congratulate you because you're now in the zone of suitable growth. You're closer to jump now. So we turn it around, right? And then second is, even no matter how positive you are, there will be a sense of hopelessness. Because there's no way. Now, so there's this zone. I don't know what happens is that, but my theory is this, is that they are always working hard on, like, say, understand B. They're trying to find a connection. After you find a connection, yet it must be relevant. So it's like a three-part trying to reconcile. And that's very painful because the brain prefers something, yeah, we got it. We're smart. But no, it's just no, and you got to go back again. So when that happens, the brain has to sort of grow a bit more. Then up to a certain point, there's like an epiphany. And we observe it's very interesting. And what we like about organizing a team of 3 is that usually it's one guy with a spark. Like, hey, guys, there's one way to do this. And the moment he explained it, the rest of the 2 also jump. So there's an economy of scale in a certain sense. Just one person, yeah, it makes sense. And all went together. And that's it. So there is the point of interconnection that all 3 fits. Yeah, it works. It makes sense. It's simple enough. Why didn't we think of that earlier? So there's a jump after that from the entire consideration, because there's a lot of consideration before that. Everything it answers the best that they think they can. And that we call it the jump.
You know what this sort of feels like? It feels like, okay, learning obviously can take place within one brain, but we're constantly, like, even the person who has the jump, that inspiration for the jump might have come from something they read,
yes,
a person they talked. So we're constantly learning from each other. And
yes.
if you could sort of think as like the planet, it's almost like a brain. And like
Yes.
individual people are like neurons. And
Yes,
when we engage in collective learning, it can really take our achievements to the next level and our insights.
Yes, you are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Okay, as I said, that's the best way. This was what we are trying to reason, like how to explain what we are observing. The irony is, back then, the big irony, because the whole thing started off because of AlphaGo beating Lee Sedol in the game of Go in 21-6. And that was the first time, wow, deep neural network learning, like the machines try to simulate how the human mind learns. But our experiment is also the machine learning use brute force. You could find something like, what happens if you put a human brain, there's some kind of brute force method, and something spark off. It's sort of simulated, inspired from that kind of sort of brute force figuring, but it's not direct, it's not 1, 2, 3, you know. And what we realize is there's exactly these three brains are working together as a collective brain. And on this is a point I sort of highlight was very, very important is the sense of safety. It's almost a high correlation. We've seen so many teams, right? There are teams who sort of functional team. You come together, we don't need to be friends. Like let's do this project together, and you do part A, I do part B, and part C, and that's it. Fail. There's no
Blinders.
exchange,
Yeah.
right? No, but so to have a sense of friendship, we told them, there is a correlation. We say those who become friends just have a higher chance of solving it. And why? There's an example. There's a very good example. There was this group. There was the early stage. They were talking to each other to exchange what they have read, and they was raising their voice. And I thought they were quarreling. Like, what's up, man? Like, are you guys like everything's okay? I said, no, we're fine. And they were apologizing to each other. No, but they're still raising their voice. So, and then, what happened was about 3-4 days later, I saw the volume drop. And they start to move and they crack it like quite fast. So what happens here? They told me, so what happened just now? I said that they realized something. They realized that they were trying to share to the other party all the knowledge they have learned. The other party is waiting to share all the knowledge he's learned. And both were trying to shout the knowledge to each other, and thinking that, no, so what changed was they decided to suspend and really listen.
Really
Understand
listen.
where it come from. Then it's like the whole knowledge went into the head. Now you got two, now I'm going to pass to you. So able to suspend and listen and absorb deeply is fundamental.
Yeah.
And when that happens, the volume drop. Because now they're from a team, the brains like they know, they have common language now. They'll invent their own vocabulary, and it's very funny. So in a very short few communication, they could just execute as a team. So I call it the productive murmur, because they'll just talk. Something's happening. That they're in the zone already as a team.
It feels like they sort of go on this journey of like me versus you, like sharing what I know, what you know, like, no, we're disagreeing. And then there's this flip that happens to where they go from like, oh, I understand you, I've listened, I get it. Now it's us versus the problem.
Exactly. So they have to have confidence that when I speak, he is truly listening, because we depend on each other. There's no way for anyone to hone the whole knowledge. No way.
Yeah.
We depend on each other, and it depends on us on quiet listening to catch up with you. And I remember the paper. There's the same paper is about the what they call it, social verbal tempo. Really able to catch up and understand. I think that's sort of reflect. So it is a very important part of that journey.
Yeah, there's real value in your ability to learn, unlearn, relearn, update your model. And we have to use language in order to do it, because we can't, we're not whatever the word is.
Telepathic. No way.
Yeah.
No way. So it takes time. And you have to invest the time. And we recommend teams to take time. Don't rush this. There's no rush. Everybody want to jump to problem and solve it, and none could solve it. What happens is, for undergrads, they will tend to copy and paste something and give you a Frankenstein, and they think that they solve it. No way. So they realize they have to really spend the time to immerse in the knowledge, to immerse in the actor environment, then slowly figure it out.
Yeah, actual thinking. Like, there is a real difference between just restating what I've heard before, what I've read before. I'm just copying and pasting there's a difference between that and like, okay, let me learn as much as I can from as many different perspectives as I can, and then put the whole picture together and create new knowledge. Like, that's actual thinking. Like, you're inviting them to think.
Yes, and because there's no other way. If not, they'll fail. If not, they will drop out, right? There's just no other alternative except because you chose the challenge, right? So they have no choice. The brain have to figure it out. And I can tell you, there's also some very amazing observation. The whole team of 6 people on one table. I look at them when I was working, and I take a look again, and I thought I saw a matrix glitch or something like that. the 6 of them totally frozen. Didn't move at all because they were all just absorbing and thinking of something. Because there's no other way except to get it into your head and
Yeah.
digest.
It's like, I mean, you said mental endurance. I just posted something the other day in the Facebook community about mental fitness. Like, what
Yes.
is mental fitness
Yes.
to you? And one of the things I love about your method is there's this quote I want to share, which sort of encapsulates what you're inviting these interns to do. And the quote is that there's no comfort in the growth zone. If you're aiming
Yes.
to grow, it might not be
Yeah.
comfortable. And there's
Yes.
no growth in the comfort zone.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah.
So when we interview, we always highlight you need to have a healthy appetite for pain. No, they like it. They like it when I phrase it that way. And yeah, that was interesting. It's self-select, and I know because you will see the face where the candidates get more and more excited the more they know. The whole face just light up. There's some like, oh, this two look. So we know who is suitable.
Yeah. How do you sort of remind and encourage them that you're not looking for like a check the box solution, that you're really looking for an innovative, creative, problem solving solution that is multidisciplinary and like really big picture and like really shows a command of the topic areas? Like how do you encourage and elicit those holistic thinking, systems thinking sorts of solutions from them?
Okay. So this case, now I just set the rule. I'm the game master, right? So
Yeah.
all I need to do is just set the rule. The rule is like the rubric. The first rubric is
Mhm.
how uncoolable, how innovative, and second is it feasible? And the person to evaluate is not me. I'm just a facilitator. I'm just a trainer. The person who evaluate who are people who know shit, who know the shit. This is the BDB Fortune 500 marketing leaders. Okay, that's it. Now, do you want to impress them? They want, right? It's aligned to their interests. It's real. And the whole thing is just set in, it's just automatically. There's no other way. You do any other way, you don't get there. You just get out of the finals. They know as well.
You know what I think is so cool too? So I love working with young people. I created and managed an internship program in one of my prior jobs, and I
Yeah.
loved working with young people because they have so much energy.
Yes.
Like when you start
Yes.
dealing with people who are, past the middle of their career and starting to get older,
Yes.
they may have great command and great
Yeah.
knowledge and great wisdom and great insights, but they don't necessarily have the same level of energy as someone, starting out
Yes.
or who's in college. So do you have any thoughts on that, on like the level of energy they can bring to problems?
Okay. I think yes, I agree. I agree with the same observation. My thought is like, why? Why does energy drop with age?
Hmm.
I'm 51, but people think that I'm still passionate and energetic. So, is it really a correlation to age, or if not, what really is it?
Vibrancy, maybe.
Yeah.
Aliveness.
So I have one possible hypothesis on this. The fluid intelligence will crystallize over time with age. All right. And over time, and second thing which I believe is the brain is always lazy. If there's a way to don't think so much, you don't think so much. Okay. So with these two combination with the sort of the from fluid brain to a more crystallized intelligence, and plus sort of the brain is lazy, over time the brain will, and plus the environment that most adults are in tends to be mechanistic, tends to be a structured environment. So I could sort of understand. But if I'm seeing some older folks who are very energetic and there's a sort of a love for life. But that's because the lifestyle, the environment they're in, to sustain the energy and the passion. Well, the young one, I think it's about there. Not all, but majority are high energy and passionate to go for it. But older one, because I think due to the environment. Okay,
Hmm.
this is what I see, and I think that's the reason why. Today, like right now, going to tackle that with some experiment. I tried before with the older working adults. It failed. The program failed. All right, because all older folks opt out of additional pain in life. Okay, they have enough pain. Right? No, Mark, I'm out of this. No point. Why am I gonna get right? So, but we're going back again by to try again with less pain. So we're tackling it because I think we need more hope to like with the transitions of jobs and things like this. So we're tackling again.
Do you notice also that like when an intern first comes in and they feel like, how am I going to do this? This seems impossible.
Mm.
And then they get through to solution, they get to the jump. And do you notice any difference in sort of their temperament or their confidence or their
Oh yes,
like what change does this
yes,
opportunity you've given them make in their lives
yes,
and their
yes, yes.
future
Oh.
careers?
This is the most important for me qualitatively. This is what I look for, and this is always we always ask them to write reflections after it, and I will read them. But after I read so many and I start to see the same pattern, then I sort of okay. So the common words are like mind blowing, life changing, very confident to face whatever novel problem in the future. There's a commonality in problem solving. This is what are the usual things that I hear.
Mm.
All right. The other thing here is that there's the jump. It's funny because they don't know they have jumped. They don't.
Mm.
It's almost like a boat on the rising and lowering tide. They have no. They cannot gauge they have went up or went down because they couldn't judge. Whereas from the shore we see we know, you know. So that's very interesting because and how do they know? Because when they solve it, but they have no confidence whether it works, and they present to the marketing leaders. And the other thing that I look at is the face of the audience, like the the judges or the you got this like yeah, like 5 months, 5 weeks, no 5 months, 5 weeks old, zero background, and you can say people with 1-2 year experience couldn't talk like you guys, man. You say tomorrow I'm going to fire all my agency and hire you guys, all right? Because like what? Like
Because they're
five
willing
weeks?
to learn and not just know
Yes.
and repeat.
Yes, like critically and go for it, like based on
Yeah.
first principle, like literally, not just copy and paste and this is how we work, you know. Yeah. So that when they saw the response, they were also like don't know how to process is the guest being polite and
Mm.
nurturing. No,
Oh.
but it looks too genuine, really real. Like the shot and all. Like then they were confused, so they took a while to piece up their thoughts. This is what I observed as well. And then usually there's a high emotion, and they have to settle down for a few days, and then they will do that recollection again.
Do you think that that like emotional element, that the stress that they sort of feel in any way fuels their motivation to get to solution? Like, does the stress help, you think?
Okay, I think the stress is essential for them to jump. Okay, whether
Yeah.
it's sufficient to solve, I'm not sure. But for the motivation, in my opinion, is personal. Some people tend
Mm.
to give up earlier because everyone has a different threshold of pain.
Yeah.
And I've started to become more realistic when people say, I'm looking to step out of my comfort zone. Now, I don't believe that anymore. Okay. I heard that, but I saw their behavior. So what they really mean is I'm bored being comfortable. But what they mean is I will step out to the discomfort zone when I feel like it. Like,
Mm.
no, I'll come back here. This is what they mean, actually. It's just like I'm bored. I'll try. But a person who's determined is a different kind of category of fish. It's different. They're determined. Like, remember that first experiment, that the first girl who broke through among is her determination.
Yeah. There's like a feisty energy to it. Like,
Yes, it's
gosh
in
darn it,
her,
I will
in the
not give
person.
up.
Yeah, it's in the person. It's in the person. It's not because of me, because nothing, it's the person. And that gave me hope. You know. So I'm very grateful. If she also give up like all the rest, then maybe this whole program would have died long ago. But
Maybe
she gave
that's
me hope.
maybe that's grit. Angela
That's
Duckworth.
great.
Is that
It's
grit? Yeah.
individual. It's an individual. It's individual. It's not, yeah. So like in the team of three, you gotta have at least one of them very strong grit that will pull through. And I saw people, the leader gonna pull the rest through until they jump, then the whole thing will jump. This, I think, is sort of we know this is the norm right now. We have to distribute, we assess and distribute the team according to their attributes.
And if you think about like the kinds of solutions that they're coming up with that are that are indicative of their interdisciplinary learning, their holistic thinking, their uh problem solving, that's smart,
Mm.
that indicates that they actually thought as a verb, like they did original cognition. Like, And then you think about the kinds of solutions that came up, you know, before this program that might be sort of simplistic and maybe not as robust. Like, what's the difference in terms of outcomes and results and growth and understanding when you compare sort of simple solutions to like a
Yes.
more whole or learning based problem solving?
Right, right, right. Okay. I first, this is I see every time I launch a program, right? So let's say, what's the difference between a person who use this sort of interdisciplinary approach versus a person who use the usual single disciplinary, which most of us is a single, monomath approach, which is most are trained in, right?
Right.
The first observation is almost immediate, very distinctive. Is monomath will want to solve the problem immediately. Go solve it now. Solve it fast, quickly. Find a straight point A, point B, draw a straight line. If you find a way to find the straightest line and just connect it. If there's a thing, just go around it or whatever. That's a very orientation. Connect from point A to point B. Okay. For the interdisciplinary one, you put point A, then you open up knowledge roots. Point B. Then look at actual scenario. You appreciate. You got to immerse and think and talk. So that then as all this comes out, then they have to. So what we recommend at that stage, and that's what they realize is asking questions. There's a lot of uncertainty. It's question driven. Questions are the currency, and every question will bring you to. I just take a look at what your questions. I know where you are. Are you stuck or are you evolving? What? And there's a lot of perspective. Perspective. Usually they get stuck because they are limited in their point of view. So that just they need a few more. So sometimes they could do it. Sometimes through discussion people, they just pump. There's another view. And the other thing here is the interdisciplinary approach. A lot of wasted energy because they're going to spend so much energy asking questions and things that may not be used at the end. If not, you do not know, right? It sounds typical research, right? You have to find out a lot of stuff and decide. And brains hated that. In the practical world, it's a waste of energy. But in interdisciplinary, there's no other way because how else going to define new ways to solve? So because of the difference, what you will generally observe is that the monomath will always have what we call the 5-meter fish solution. So if your 5-meter fish is quite cheap, there's quite plenty of them. It's around that type. But if you go to 20-meter, 50-meter, 80-meter fish, those exotic, interesting fish, then you ought to go deep and integrate, right? And only this way could have a higher chance to solve than a monomath, right? And after that, first, so you see, most likely they will Google for references and copy and paste and then done. Which in our challenge will fail. So we also, it's a very common that people will fall out of the competition because they really couldn't find anything innovative or interesting. They could not connect and it's just wasting too much time. They fall out of it, which is fine, But those who proceed, they got lots of fun after that. It's very funny. So that's the sort of two approach, right? So as long as we have, for us, those who is normal, some submissions are still what they call 5-meter fish. They won't get to the finals anyway. So it just sort of delineate the whole pack. And then we always invite people who fall out or who don't get to the finals. We invite them to attend the finals. See to believe, see to believe.
That.
Yeah, see to believe. And the finals, there'll be like 3 teams or 5 teams. We observe. They are learning from each other because the same A times B, but they're all like, what? I never saw it before. Like, what? How? I never seen one duplicate angle and approach before. Never. So they're encouraging each other. They're learning from each other. And when the guests who are the market leaders or ESG leaders question them, they are learning together. They're sparring together because everybody's prepared. They know how to answer in their mind. They're comparing the response. So we find that is very rich. So once you cross the line, it's a very rich conversation and it's very good output. But if you don't cross the line, it's like, I don't know what's happening, like, I don't know. Yeah, okay.
What
Something
comes
like
up
this.
for me is like, if an individual wants to evolve, wants to grow, wants to learn, wants to exercise their mind and its ability to do original thought, like if you want to make that jump, that leap to the growth zone, then staying in echo chambers and feeling like you already know enough
No
and
way.
not listening to people is not going to work. Like this
Not
is
gonna
just
work.
evidence to me that our world would be so much better if instead of viewing someone who's had a different experience or a different perspective as less than or bad or wrong, if we just sort of suspend judgment and
Yes.
just listen and take what you will, take what fits and resonates and feels true. If someone says something you don't agree with, you just note it in the back of your mind. But there's so much power in learning from others rather than just feeling, oh, like I'm, being stuck in your own perspective, basically.
Yes, yes, absolutely. This is also quite a common what I call coaching, what you sort of intervention we give to
Mm-hmm.
the students. Because at the age they may not recognize that our point of view of the world is different. What
Yeah.
I think is the world, and all three or all four are all different.
We're all
And
different worlds in a
all
way.
different worlds. It's like our little bubble around our head, right? We believe in our world, and they didn't recognize that they're all different bubbles around our head. We just think that that's it. Everybody's the same, and that's applied for most people. Only those who have certain level of understanding will understand. Oh, everybody has different perspective, and therefore lies the scientific approach, right? You have to base on evidence and try, but most could not cross that. But what I ask is, understand that people who can't see, but you try to see that we're all figure out to exchange. You will know there's no way. That is the humility. You have the humility, you tend to have a better chance of doing something that's meaningful to society or to others. Because like for example, if you just do pure engineering problem solving, which is not our we are marketing. Marketing is tech data, but very much human facing. That means to have able to understand the how human think and what's the reality, it actually enhances your chance of success. And therefore, for example, do segmentation, that's sort of foundation to understand that. But if you can't, you will have a problem.
Yeah. Can you think of like an example of a solution that was exceptionally interesting or creative or impactful that one of the intern teams came up with? Can you share an example?
Yes. And it's also the most successful one. The year was 2018. 2018. One of my big headache is like, okay, this challenge, what am I going to say, right? A X B, then what's the A? And I was stressed, like, I gotta figure out. Usually I talk to clients sometimes also like, oh, yeah, what's new, okay? My job is to have the hook, like, oh, how the hell you come up with this idea? How with this hook? I also want to attend, right? Now, so I came across a Times cover, the Times like person of the year, and that year 2018 was the BTS band, a Korean band called BTS. I look at it, huh? How a Korean band who sings in Korean became so famous worldwide. I say, and as popular in Latin America and Southeast Asia in Korean. I don't understand. It's a boy band, and I can't recognize who's who. So popular, and that year, the challenge was BTS X B2B marketing, and I chose it's like BTS X B2B marketing. Like, it's a phenomena. I don't understand. So why don't you investigate on my behalf for this phenomena? And just for the heck of it, could you find it a useful use case in the B2B marketing mode? Right? And it was thrown to them, and the team happened to be one of the most talented batch I've seen. Okay. And with very little intervention from me. All right. You know what they did? They study the evolution of this type of band all the way from MTV days. When we were young, there's MTV on the videotape and those MTV. They saw evolution in the Asia perspective after the MTV, the rise of Michael Jackson and all those. And then there was a rise of J-pop. Japan was very popular exporting J-pop songs. And then K-pop. And they were manufacturing lots of bands. But why only BTS have such a exponential growth versus all other K-pop band at that time, back in 2008? Also, they study the evolution history, they study all the K-pop band and try to find the difference against this BTS band, and came up 5 formula. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Okay, great. Next, the abstract to general principle. What it means at the abstract level, this means this, it means this, it means this, it means this. Abstract, okay. Then from the same abstract, they apply in B2B, this is what it means, this is what it means, this is what it means. So they use the abstract concept as a bridge from BTS to B2B. Okay, great. But still, like, what's so special about this is that they pick angle that's so juicy, like, so, B2B marketing, there's this job. It's not exactly the most exciting one. You call it the field marketer, they take care of this geography and I go do my job, right? So what if you could take the BTS and convert it to like a super soldier serum and inject it into this boring job called the field marketer? What happens, right? And they came out with a formula, and what they did is the field marketer doing LinkedIn posts. Before, it was like no likes or 1-3 likes. After was just comments, and the authenticity poured through, went out. They did an experiment on my account. They ran it, but it went up in 10 days, right? It went up. And they did the same experiment on my staff, who is 2-year-old, as a working adult. And they did a test on themselves, which is like interns, right? Everyone see a sharp rise in the profile view and comments and likes. Then so that when they showed the formula, I saw the whole room of the video marketers take out the phone, like take a photo of the formula, and they were sharing it with their colleague. And they said, "Oh, it makes sense, very interesting." And they said, "Oh, done by interns."
Yeah.
So yeah, and that formula and that experiment it opened a key insight where the marketer could themselves be the ultimate marketing asset. In today's term, means you can be an influencer. There's a way, and you should be, because it just get your job better, you have better pay and things like this. So that was the most memorable one that nobody expected this in any way, but they broke through on the part.
Yeah, I love that story. And it really shows the power of analogical thinking. Like
Yes.
if you can understand something over here and learn from it, you can apply it, like synthesize it, understand, and
Yes.
you can apply it and leverage it somewhere else. That's the
Yes.
power of polymathic innovation.
Exactly. We didn't expect, nobody asked for it, but we never thought of it that way. And the one experiment is believable. It works. And
It
the
works.
funny thing was this authenticity. I struggle, like, okay, I understand authenticity, but how do you appear authentic? Like, how? And there's a method. They came out with a formula as well. Oh my gosh. So there's a way you have to do it, but you can teach people to do it, and then they'll be perceived, and the whole resonance, it could elicit a certain reaction of warmth and things like this. So I'm just very impressed with that. Today we are still using that formula.
So when you think about all the project teams over the years, and like this team, for example, was like one of the strongest, and then you
Yes.
think about other teams that, completed the challenge but were less strong.
Mm.
Like, how do you think about success on projects in terms of their problem-solving abilities and creative thinking? Like, what do you like to see that makes an intern program or a project stronger and more successful than the ones that are sort of more watered down or
Yes.
not as
Oh,
impactful?
yes. Okay. The best way to share is, how do I know it's not working?
Yeah.
How do I know? How do I know it's working? So first and foremost, every day I'll be worrying for them. I worry, like, because I'm not learning anything from them, and they, and there are certain we now we recognize that what's called the close-minded pattern. They're given up, all given up, right? We know that's, and so now, like, what I'm gonna do? I still want to go ahead the presentation. So that is what we're trying to avoid. The second one is, and we know, because when you present, there's no engagement from the audience. Nobody interested to ask any question, because it's time with the fish, right? It's one of the most embarrassing moment when any question and nobody asks any question, or they ask some patronizing question. That's, we know that, right? So that's not good. And the other thing that we know not good, because my guests come to me and say, "Mark, this year not very good." They tell me that they learn nothing. And they were looking, they were big. The reason is this: there's something that because when you have successful precedents, it has an effect on the team. When you're the first few, you got lots of excuses, reason not to finish it. The moment you know your predecessors solved it, then the stress is there. And you want to be, and similar, when you got predecessors of a case of success, the audience have higher demands. And they will tell me too, right? Because I appreciate them to tell me, because actually I also know, but they tell me, okay, don't worry, I know. Yeah, that keep the ecosystem going, because I can't do this alone. We need the industry. We need the leaders to be there, because without, it's like three leg, right? You got the students, you got me, and you must have the industry leaders. If you take one out, it's not going to work. So I am motivated to make sure I learn and they learn, and student, I have to, somehow have deliver. If not, it's no good for everybody. Yeah, so that's sort of the role I have to play.
I'm curious a little bit more too. You've mentioned that like some people drop out and that you need the stress, like you got to inject some stress and some sense
Yes,
of urgency, some sense of importance that this is a real problem that needs solved. And so you sort of stir up a little bit of stress response.
yes.
And I'm curious, like, of the people who are able to submit an amazing project like the one you just described, and the people who deliver a crappy result, do you notice any trends or themes in their stress responses?
I think to be fair, as long as you submit, you reach the end. All I would say, we've gone through this their equivalent of valley of death. All right. However, like I mentioned, it's very strange. Some are very short. Some never get out of it.
Mm.
Literally, it's so painful because they work damn hard. They have the grades. Just they couldn't. It's just everything there's some limitation. That's why we realize it's not for everybody. Their positive takeaway is this is not cut out for me. It's not due to laziness. I saw they put lots of effort. It's almost like putting your face across tarmac and just go for 100 meter. They endure it, just couldn't, just couldn't. So, and that's sort of instinctively, I think it's correct. Not everybody is suitable for this. Not everybody is suitable for that.
Yeah,
But at least you try.
you
You
know
try,
what?
then you know.
Yeah, I've thought about this too, and it's a really like politically incorrect statement to make.
Huh?
But like just like if you had the Olympics and like
Yeah.
some super athletes would be more
Yes.
physically capable than others, other than people who aren't super
Yes.
athlete. Like that's just a fact of our human
It's,
condition,
yeah.
that some people's bodies are stronger and more capable than others. And I
Yeah.
think the same is true for our mental capacities. And
Yes.
that can be
It's so true.
developed. We can
Yes.
improve our mental fitness and our grit, our
Mm,
endurance, our capabilities, our learnability. We
mm.
can exercise our minds, but it's the fact of our human condition that some people's minds will be more insightful and more capable than others. And that's not to say
Absolutely.
that their lives are worth more, or it's
No.
not a value judgment. It's
Yes,
just
right.
the facts.
Yes. And so we are all preconditioned to do excel in different things. I think there's beauty in this that we're all different.
Right.
My philosophy is that we are just one more tool in the world to solve the problems of the world. We are one more tool. We are building some small, certain people who are more can solve certain problems. But there are lots of other problems
There's
that
other kinds of problems, and maybe
that we are
someone who's
all,
not good over here would be amazing over there in that problem.
yeah, we are just a toolkit. It's a kit, right? And just one tool.
Yeah.
And I think this is so true, right? Some are sportsmen, some are not. I'm not a sports guy, but everybody's different. And I think there's beauty in the diversity of different talent
Yeah,
and
for
whatever.
sure.
So at least give it a try so that at least you recognize people are different. At least you can respect when people have mastery. Like, thank goodness you're around. Something like this, I think that's okay.
Right. What do you think are the biggest challenges that educators and professionals face today in fostering interdisciplinary innovative thinking among young people?
Okay, yes, I noticed there's growing trend to start interdisciplinary problem solving, and I think that's good. I mean, I'm a practitioner, so I think the biggest challenge is the lack of successful practitioner. Need more successful practitioner because when a student see a successful practitioner, the belief will go up.
Mm,
If not, it is just an academic exercise. And I saw how they behave in an academic exercise. And you could say you tick the box. They don't. I don't know. Maybe it's different, but that if you really want to have that, having a successful practitioner is, I think, is number one. Number two, very important one is the environment. Like we put a lot of emphasis on the environment. If in the classroom you practice your theory, and they step out classroom and they see a world that is not what you thought in the room, then they don't believe it is a technical theoretical exercise, right? So
mhm.
I think this is the two parts. If and I believe, for example, all these practitioners could go seek out local polymath to come in to participate. This is, I think, is a very good, because I asked Jonathan Kushner to come and show, ladies and gentlemen, this is Jonathan, and he showed that this is, if not, they don't believe. First we gotta have belief, right? You gotta believe, and that just makes things easier. Why fight against? It's already difficult. The process is difficult. Why make it more difficult, right? Make it appeal to the human to make it easier, and more people can transit over. Yeah,
Yeah.
so the belief is a problem. I have a lot of friction in the beginning, but once I build the case studies and whatever, it's much easier right now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what are the key skills or attributes that young professionals need to develop to thrive in a world where interdisciplinary knowledge is becoming increasingly important?
Yeah, I love this. I love this one. This one, yeah, two, no, three. They must have like what I call plasticity. You really have to exercise to learn different things, able to other fluid kind of things, or learn different things. They got to have, from young, you start to do this, learning different things, trying
Yeah.
new things, and try to be good at it. This is the thing, because you have you're building out your base and your muscle, your plasticity.
Yes.
This is number
Yeah.
one. The second one is huge also. Well, now because we also trying to do a program and all this too. It's called probabilistic thinking. Probabilistic thinking, fundamental. Once you don't have that, they'll get lost. They'll get lost in the application. Like they have no idea how to choose, and they couldn't that poor judgment call, and like they have no freaking idea. And it's frustrating because like we call it internally, we call it like Doctor Strange. You can do what Doctor Strange do, like you gotta, like a time dimension. You got to. If not, it's very hard to at system level, a time step. Like, why do you choose this? It's just so flat, right? So these two, okay? And the third one is something we highly recommend because we see a lot of young people, 90% is they live in their own mind. You have to really show interest in the world,
Yeah.
observe more, observe keenly, observe. And this is where I attended the Leonardo da Vinci, they examined their life, and this is he observing water. He observed, just quietly observe. The more you observe the world as it is quietly, it goes in your mind, the real world.
Yeah.
That is the three. These three things, if you do well, and the rest, I think you can sort it out. As you hit into, no matter what, I think generally you're more predisposed to have a better interdisciplinary outcome than if you do otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. It really speaks to the importance of mental agility, or
Yes.
here's some catchphrases I'll say to describe this phenomenon. It's like learnability, like what is
Yes.
your ability to learn?
Yeah.
And I also talk frequently about the importance of not just lifelong learning, but life-wide learning. And there's a
Ah.
sort of mental ambidexterity, like
Yes.
ambidexterity is
Yes.
when you can use both sides
Yes.
to
Yes.
accomplish. Well, your mind also has two halves. And so you want to
Yes.
think of things not just from like a rational perspective, but also like integrate emotional elements of decision making, because there's sometimes great wisdom in like using all that we are, all our vessel, all our intelligence, all our
Absolutely.
capacity, and to
Yeah.
keep developing it, because when you don't use something you tend to lose it. And I
Yeah.
think that one of the
Exactly.
worst things that happens to human beings, one of the saddest illnesses, is when people get Alzheimer's, and you lose who you are when
Yes.
you lose your
Yes.
mind. And the quality of our minds really is the quality of our lives.
Yes, I agree 100%. And this is the, like I was sharing with my team. This is the full-time team. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, we spend so much of our waking hours at work. So much, too much, but no choice. This world we have no choice. So I told them, for me, I don't believe in work-life balance. Okay, I don't believe, because I've seen, if you want to work-life balance, you're young, you have a problem later on.
Yeah.
So what I promote is you try balanced work-life development. So while
Mm.
you at work, you're learning, you understand, so that you go back, you can be a better mom, better dad, better son, better daughter, because you're learning as is, because you're still in the world, you're still operating in the world context. I think that is more powerful and it's more efficient, so that you're more confident to live your life. So
Yeah.
yeah, exactly what I say. As long as you keep doing it, you have confidence, right? I also want to add one more. It's very interesting. I heard recently there's like a sportsman when they train, right? You talk about mental fitness. So if you rest for, let's say, a month, uh, you need about 2 months to recover back to the fitness. I would argue it's the same because sometimes you go for holiday, you need a break. But if it's something too much, it take a while to come back to that thing. So if you literally rest for 1 year, to fight back, it will take way longer and more painful. So
Yeah.
this is, it's good to keep surround yourself in a place that is always joyful, interesting, to have that plasticity, ambidexterity, like learning. Then I think that's will be the most efficient way to live a life with it's more meaningful. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a certain element of authenticity in that too. Because if you're really being your authentic self, I think you would want to continue to express and explore and be vibrant
Yes.
and be alive. Like when we shrivel and shrink, that's not who we really are, I don't think.
Yeah, so this part I've also noticed, is it the factor it's called neuroticism. We this is negatively correlated. So that means if it's too emotional and too
Right,
dramatized, it will affect us because
right.
when we're younger, it tends to be like this. But um, it's like a more aloof. Like I don't know, like how to describe this. It's like when we all are human trying to figure our way in life. There are ups and there are downs, right? And but if we want to go a bit higher, that we have to somehow cap the, or try to only some people maybe very little downside. But those people who are a bit more heavy in life, actually, we can understand it's harder for them to jump. You have to heal it first, then you can jump further. But I think, like for me, I have my downtime too. So that, hey, like we are not robots. We're like we are human. It's okay. If you need to take like 3 weeks break, go figure out all thing. We'll come back again. Because the conversely can never be true that a human could just power through everything and hold back. It never work out. You gotta sort out as a balance. As a human, finish up your job. Yeah, that's anyway. That's what we tell our guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed this trend too. I mean, we all have varying degrees of emotional intensity that
Yes.
we experience. Like, and I think a
Yeah.
lot of that is just inborn. Like we're born
Yes. We are
more
human.
sensitive.
We are human.
Yeah, we're human. Some of us
Yeah.
are more sensitive emotionally, some of us are less sensitive, some of us put on layers of protection because of
Yes.
trauma, and then it, over
Yeah.
time maybe we can release those layers of and
Yeah.
be and become more authentic. But I've really noticed, like, if you want someone to reach their full intellectual potential, they
Mm.
must work through their emotional issues first.
Exactly. Just again, exactly. I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I also noticed something, and this what intern told me. Because I have to leave. I am a free soul. I am a free agent. I have a strong. I mean, we recognize my own agency, right?
Yeah.
And I just be myself, right? Apparently, it's a lot. It's important to us. Quite a number of young people. Apparently, quite a number of youth grow up do not trust in being authentic. It's a bit sad for me, because
Afraid.
of the environment, or I don't know. But when they see people authentic, and when I bring them to my network of leaders who are also authentic leaders, do you know how inspiring is it? It's like it's one of the comment like, "Wow, we could be like this too."
Mm.
Sometimes some youth have a very negative view of business leaders, but no, they're like these are bright people who are trying to solve something meaningful, and that give them inspiration. And just like obviously such a big premium now, even in the professional world. So I think that's important. Very important is it frees people. But I got another friend. He said that not all authenticity is good. Sometimes you are dark inside, and you
Mhm.
can destroy yourself. And so yeah, and I think it's an interesting topic. We yearn for authentic warmth and hope and connection.
Yeah.
It builds trust, and apparently it's the safety is very important. If people don't feel safe, the power is just not, or you couldn't collaborate as well, things like this. But on the other hand, there are people with no choice have to hide some part in them. They couldn't trust in their expression, and in order to protect their own livelihood or their own whatever, they are not sure because of past trauma or whatever. So we have to accept them. I mean, we understand that whatever you are. Those you try, you be you, just try, and then we be we, and then just go respect each other, and we just go.
Yeah. Since we last spoke, so much has changed in our world. Like now
Yeah,
you went from being the ungoogleable challenge to
yeah,
the
now it's ungptable.
ungptable.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah. I
guess
was, yeah, sorry.
AI's here. And I'm just
Yes.
curious, like, how do you adapt what you're requesting of the interns given the rapidly changing technological environment that we're in right
Mm.
now with all the AI tools we have?
Okay, so this is what I observed. This is the last challenge is AI X B2B marketing. What I observe, young people have no problem with technology at all. No problem at all. The older ones, the one no problem. So they are just as is, and they go. I got 17-year-old working on prompt engineering from zero. In 3 weeks, they could start doing work. We took 3 months, 3 weeks. They have no problem with that. So the point is, I used we have observed this for years, and that did not change, right? So because I run the program very regularly, every year is the context change. And to the young people, there's no difference. It just turn up and they just do their work. And by showing their work, they capitalize the transition of the adults. Because I always feel, oh my gosh, they could do it. Oh, shit. Like, then the rest like look at each other. Okay, we better back up a little bit more. So it's a positive reinforcement. So in that case, this program, it fits very nicely the cycle of fast changing. It is designed to deal. It's an answer. It's a way of dealing with fast because it make it easy for me as well, right? I learn through them
Yeah.
easily, and you show them because when the 17-year-old could do it, the 24 and 27-year-old or 37 have no more excuse.
I
Okay,
know.
let them do it. I'm like, you still figure out next batch is here, and now it's like it's not do together and just bring along. This how we realize is our we have not much of an issue dealing with too much of the tech change, but we also know our main value add is sense making.
Exactly.
Sense making, okay, and POV, sense making, POV, and confidence in novelty, confidence to deal with novelty. So these are the sort of the good things that comes out, and the belief will grow. If you like attend the show for one, I remember when there's a guest, okay, turn up for one time, right? It was again shocked, right? Do you know what he do? He went to talk to the interns. He don't talk to me. He went to talk to the presenter. Did Mark teach you to talk like that? They thought I scripted the whole thing, and they read off this, they memorize, and this it's scripted. They believe it was scripted. He cannot be. You're only 17-year-old. It's impossible. You're talking like this. And he talked to everyone, and it's so legit. He was confused, man. Like, how cannot be? It can't be. He's only 17. He's only 21. How could it be? How could it be? So I think it's important that to leverage as it is, and it's possible, and then it's the adults who needs to adjust, and having more of this become regular, then become no longer an issue. Like right now, nobody talk like that anymore. Just, oh, okay, let's go. In the beginning, there are more disbelief, not sure, doubts, things like this.
You know what comes up for me, and I feel like this is an important point I haven't talked about as much,
Mm.
and I'm not a neuroscientist, right? But my understanding of the human brain is that earlier in life, the brain is just an absolute sponge. Like it
Yes.
is in learning absorption, connecting the dots. Like,
Yeah.
and I have a 7-year-old daughter, so I see this up front
Yeah.
and personal all the time.
Yes.
Like her brain is a sponge. And then
Yeah.
I've also seen some people who have been, they've gone into their degree programs, they've memorized things,
Oh
they've
yeah, rote
gone
learning.
into jobs where they're told what to do. And so older brains, I don't think it's necessarily the fact that aging slows
Mm.
down plasticity. I think when you start behaving in regular habits where you're not thinking, you're just replicating
Yeah.
rote routine sorts of
Yes.
like when you're not thinking, you start to lose the ability. And
Mm.
so I think this is almost like a call to action, like take inspiration from young people. Let's not create societies and scaffoldings and systems and institutions which drive down our ability to think independently. Let's create environments where we're called to remain mentally active so that we can maintain that ability and it doesn't go downhill as we enter schooling and,
Yes.
careers.
Yeah. I did a speech recently at a Toastmaster event. All right. That's why I posted that I give for first time I couldn't imagine Leonardo da Vinci appearing in the Mandarin Toastmaster. They are all like 50, 60, 70-year-old. Okay. So the call to action, there's one angle that worked quite well. say because like most people moving ahead will expect to have like 5 different jobs in their lifetime, 5 different like different tracks. Now, my observation in the past is when people change career, they have to like sort of go down and come up again. Because
Yeah.
the portable thing is, unless it's exactly the same role function, is fungible, it's good. But if not, you're gonna go down and
You
come
got
up
to
again.
start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a drop in the income, go down. And the thing is, you're fighting the young one in the new technology. They climb up harder. That if you change it, so that's bad. That's bad news for me. It's like you're a problem. So, and therefore I pose like, hey, but there's one solution. Why don't you start practicing interdisciplinary superpower, right? So that you practice compounding your knowledge. So the more you switch, the more proven you are in solving novel things in the new domain, the more higher the demand. So your price goes up.
Yeah.
You are a master novel problem solver. That could be the answer against aging, right? You make more
Yeah.
as you are more experienced as the master craftsman in solving. I thought, and they resonated. It resonated. So I realized the best way to resonate is to go for the livelihood.
Yeah, exactly. What advice would you give to other people who might want to do a program like you have, whether it's, educators or mentors in work environments, if someone wants to implement a similar interdisciplinary challenge-based learning program, what advice would you have for those implementers?
Yeah, do it. If I think like for example this program I shared a few of the success factors, but I think there's a few things to highlight it, because when we do this it must be for a good intention to bring about change. I think the pay attention to the culture, the environment, very important. I couldn't emphasize more, which is why certain environments and workplaces are just very overbearing in a certain way. You have a workshop in that I don't know, it's you have to believe you have the environment, a bubble of safety, a bubble of freedom, a bubble where you waste time so figure out stuff, right? No productivity. We just have to go because it only pays off at the end because they could answer question. There's a knowledge body to answer the question, but before that they have no idea. So if the environment don't support this, and it's very time to value, don't waste time, A to B, then I'm afraid it will not be so good. Okay. Like second, of course, is like I think the if you will do industry, try to bring in successful practitioner. Very important. If not, they don't even if the facilitator may not believe they are what they're doing, and they will always go for a simple 5-meter fish. To it looks like
Right.
but no meaning. They were like, oh, I can do that too. That's it. What happened to the pain and suffering? Oh, that's easy. Even that easy? No, I don't know. Like how are you gonna evaluate? What's the rubric for interdisciplinary? It's difficult, right? That if not how. So this if you have need inspiration on that. The third, I think if you want to do a program, try to align to their interests. And I mentioned livelihood is a very powerful one. Young people, right? Young people care so much about their career. If you can sort of have a clear correlation, clear linkage to that, all right? And then I think if this few parameter, it will be more successful.
Great points. Okay, last question. Where do you see the future of interdisciplinary challenge-based learning going, and what role do you envision your program playing in that future?
Okay, so this is actually happening now. I've been approached by a lot of people who have because I've run the program very consistently for how many years? Like 6-7 years already. So the number one, I see requests to bring this to the working adults, which we are going to start because there's a real present demand. Working the young too late, they couldn't solve the problem right now. So there's 2 directions. The first is going in to supercharge existing team to the next level, like workshop to bring it up. Okay, so there's a demand. This is a high performance team, and apparently we need a few more success. That means more people to deal with VUCA, some kind of more stretch their development. So one possibility is all senior position holder need to go through this advanced program, then you go, right? So I think that's good. The other one is the mid-career changes. They need some help, but that one is a bit more challenging because their foundations is not there. And usually they're more concerned with bread and butter. So for those type, we are thinking at one step down, things like, for example, plasticity as well as probabilistic thinking, and do scaffold to see, you have to practical time to value. So maybe we can, narrow down a little bit and just let them have some confidence. You can see, oh yeah, it works. Then you get them to practice more as like it's a practice, right? So second, the other direction I've seen as well is, and I think it's already happening at least in Singapore, the universities are already promoting interdisciplinary problem solving. Right, so that's why our program is also quite popular, right? Because there's no other way, like which faculty is safe? Nobody is safe, right? But if you say individualized, okay, so like who know how to teach this? Okay, I don't know how to teach, but we are practitioners, so we just do, right? So we see a demand. And we also noticed, and I think it's going to happen, is that it will filter down to the secondary school or high school and primary school, the junior school. And I think, and we are also doing some research to conjure some conversation because of like some key components that is a good predictor. We can have exercises around those to strengthen a little bit more. Everybody, like more plasticity is better than as it is. More probabilistic thinking is better than as it is. So something like this, we think it will set up for the future. Everybody should go through at least once. So for me, what I see our role is we have rescaled our program for all intervarsity, all the universities. Those can join, they will just join. The last batch, we have 100 people sign up already across the 3 major universities. We will continue to do that for a few emerging domain. Okay, so that's one. We are now going up to the adults, and I'm thinking very likely from our experience on the components, we were working with some partner on the what they call the younger folks. Yeah, because we know there's a difference between 17 and 21 in terms of their handling of the complex problem. It's too much for a 17-year-old. 16, 17 is too much. So it's got to be sort of age appropriate. So we're all looking to all these things right now.
Wow, that's so cool. Well, one of the things I've tried to do over the years, through my doctoral work and through the social media stuff that I do, is just really encourage people to exercise agency over their
Yes.
own mind space and maintain mental sovereignty, because we live in an age and an era where human mind, like there's really a war for your mind space. Like, hey, buy this. Like we're commoditized, we're propagandized, we're influenced. And so it's really incumbent upon all of us to have some defense and some openness to learning, but maintaining our mental independence, right? And collaborating with others. So that's that's kind of the basic message I've been preaching through my polymathy work. And what I love about your example is that you're preaching and doing a similar thing, but from a practitioner perspective, like in the real world, you're doing
just do it.
You're doing it rather than talking about doing it like I do.
Just do it. All right. Remember back then, 21.6, it was life and death for me. I mean, even I chose on the theory that there'll be some polymatic talent out there, I think that's the right answer. I have nothing back in 21.6, So the only way is I have to try it out. People all think I'm crazy. This doesn't exist. You're crazy. And even sometimes today, I make my clients, you have such a small team, but there's a few skills in. Look, I look at, why do you need 8% in that meeting? They represent one skill.
Right.
Every one of them got 3 skills, and they can, like what? I still don't understand. A lot of things I don't understand, because for us, it's knowledge just a package, and we just need to get the results. The more I know how to orchestrate, right? But if it just function as it is, and it's like, come on, robot can do this. I don't know why. I don't see the future in your role if it's too fast. The thing is moving too fast. So I think it's good. It's good.
Yeah. Humans, we've been told this narrative for a long time, like, pick your one thing. And our expectations for our own identity have been very simplistic. And now the world's getting more complicated. I think we're beginning to realize like it's okay to be lots of things. It's okay to like learn broadly and have many capabilities. And that old narrative that said just do one thing, focus in one area for a whole lifetime was really about de-skilling us, taking away our capacities in most areas so we could be really good at one thing. And I think we lose something fundamental about who we are when we narrow ourselves down to a very simplistic identity, when the fact is we're all very complex beings who evolve and grow and learn, and that's how we should be.
Yes, yes. I mean, I'm all of it. But I'll just share my view. I suffer from that multi
Yeah,
identity.
you're a
I suffer
multi.
badly. Like, Mark, what do you do? And then I thought I just told you. Like, they couldn't believe because from my social media profile, and then like, Mark, what do you do again? I just told you. Like, so then I realized it works against me from commercially. All right. So the thing is this: that's my own private world. So my Facebook is my private world. I can be whatever I want. But on LinkedIn, in order for effectiveness for system change, it's easier for the rest of the system to recognize me consistently for something.
Mm.
Now, it is, for example, I'm dedicated to solve B2B marketing in Asia. And I focus on this for 7 years already. Because it's tough. It's tough. It's tough. And now behind, I use Polymatic. I can do many other things, but they don't need to know. But I'm still focused because to move a needle in the world takes time.
Mm.
And
True.
I have to be applied consistently with patience and push and push and push and push. Then the system will change, right? It maybe it'll take a lifetime. But if I think it's meaningful as my legacy, I'll do that. I can do other things, but I just need to make sure I don't go do it against my my interests in the realities of the world. So, for example, my ESG, I have to do ESG now. Okay, it's alien to me, but I'm going because as an example, but I can push somebody else as the face of ESG. But that doesn't mean I can't run it. I will still run it. I can come a new domain. So my core specialty for next 5 years is about bringing more people to this new domain with confidence.
Yeah.
Based on polymatic principle, but need consistent to, okay, the thing is, when I move a needle in the world, takes time.
Yeah.
And we need to complete, apply.
Keep working on it. Yeah.
Keep working on it. Yeah, determined. Just move that one needle and I can die with no regrets.
Yeah, well, that's a great legacy to leave. You're helping not only individuals realize that they can make that jump, they can have
Yes.
new insights, and if they keep consistent and get through the difficulty, that they can make those mental leaps forward, and which not only helps them gain confidence in what they're capable of, which has
Yes.
more global implications moving forward for their level of confidence and competence,
Yes.
and knowing I can learn, unlearn, relearn, all that. But it also has implications for getting those creative and innovative solutions, the analogical
Yes.
thinking. Like,
Yeah.
it not only helps enhance individuals, but these sorts of approaches help enhance organizations and systems and
Yes.
institutions and our world.
Yeah. More. I heard Morgan Stanley is starting to look for, like senior leadership with proven track record of switching lanes. That's good news.
That's good news.
Because it makes sense. If you think through, it just makes sense, right? And I believe over time there'll be more demand because it simply cannot work. It just can't work, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So just
Google. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no problem.
I was just going to say, I'm thinking of like Google has been really clear that they never hire narrow specialists.
Yeah.
Their industry is too volatile to just hire someone who wants to do the same work every day and not use their brains. And the
Yeah.
World Bank announced, I don't know, like 6 months ago, how important it is for, they said young people, but I really think it's everybody, to be able to reinvent themselves. In this economy with AI here, a lot
Yeah.
of jobs are getting automated. So we all have to have multi capacities more than ever,
Yes. Yes. I was telling somebody, I have only one job right now. I have to be successful. In order to be useful for the movement, for other people. If I perceive as a failure, all my effort is no use. I must be a success. Then it's useful for more people to go forward and motivate others as an example. Because we need more of this example. And for me to look out for more successful practitioner in network, right? And then go forth, because then I think it's going to come, because I know myself, because the interest has been growing, especially quite sharp after pandemic, it went even higher. in the past, our interns is like only 3 to 9, right? That's full time. And then now it's like the last batch was 30. Then suddenly it grew to 100. Right? 30 to 100 is like 3-4 increase. I was like, what the hell is happening? But it's getting, because I do not need to convince people now. And the brain will adjust accordingly. So I think that we are better now than, let's say, 5 years ago. We just need to sort of network. Like, for example, I'm very happy that the Polymer place it's all over the world, right? So
Yeah.
if someone one day say, hey, you go here, I can look for people, this is your practitioner there, then you know, because you need people who can talk the talk, and you need the stories, the examples, the confidence. Wow, then they're inspired, they're cool, right? So those I think are important.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Mark, it's been so fun to talk with you. I'm so
Yeah.
glad that you're in the space, working it and preaching it and making it happen from your angle in practice. Yeah, thank you for doing this important work and for sharing your story. I hope it inspires other people working in education or, in for-profit, nonprofit, wherever they may be, that let's help elicit human thinking, human
Yes.
mental capacities, and problem-based learning opportunities and small group settings is a great way to do it.
Absolutely. Let me like help each other, connect each other, support each other. Because I really think the next 3 to 5 years, it's gonna grow.
I agree. All right,
All right.
everybody. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.
All right. Thank you.